If we all start learning to hear the need behind of what the other one says, it would be easier for us to bring that connection. Yeah.
Welcome to the Shift Within podcast. I'm your host, Alice. I'm from the Inner Shift Institute, and I'm here to guide you on a journey inside of your mind. Our podcast is a platform for catalyzing both inner and outer shifts using the power of psychedelics and powerful therapeutic tools. Welcome to your new beginning. Welcome to your new life. So welcome to The Shift Within, the podcast where we talk about the subconscious mind, the body-mind connection, and psychedelics. And today I'm with Alejandra, a dear member of our team at the Inner Shift Institute. Alejandra has been working with psychedelics for many years. She brings not only her professional expertise, but also her Peruvian roots into this work. And in this episode, we'll talk about how psychedelics can support repairing relationships. We'll also look at practices like nonviolent communication and IFIO, a form of parts-based relational therapy. And both can shift the way we relate, and they help make the changes from the psychedelic ceremony last. Alejandra, I'm so glad that you're here and having this conversation with me. Before we jump in, can you tell me what excites you the most about speaking on this topic of relationships today?
Yeah, very happy to be here about this. To talk about this topic. What excites me most about relationships? I think in general, since I was young, I was trying to figure out relationships. I didn't know how to relate to even my family or even to myself, because I also feel like relationship with self is also a relationship. And I think since I was young, I felt that I didn't belong. And I think it was really related to how I dealt within my relationships. I didn't know exactly how to connect and how to be me. I think that's what really excites me, because in the past years I've been learning with so many modalities with nonviolent communication and IFS, how to be with myself in relationship to myself, but also how to develop relationships in which I can be authentic and be in connection at the same time. And I don't have to, in a way, choose between one or the other. Yeah.
Absolutely. I can relate so much to that. I think so many people can relate to that, because I feel in this world that we have right now, especially in the Western world, we just don't know how to be ourselves in relationship, how to have me and the relationship too, right? I grew up as well in a very dysfunctional family home, parents very emotionally immature, a lot of rules, very little relating, and I felt mostly alone throughout my childhood. And then as an adult, you carry the wounds from your childhood into your adult relationships, right? That's why it's so important to heal these wounds and to know how to communicate in the relationships. And I think that relationships are such an important part of our life. You know, when people are on their deathbed, usually what they regret the most, it has something to do with their relationships to people, and not about how successful they were and how much they have worked, but it's just like how much they have been able to love and to relate to others. That's why it's so important to understand relationships and to heal the wounds, I find.
Yeah, very much.
And can you share about how do you see psychedelics supporting relationship repair?
So I've noticed that psychedelics in my own journey, but also with the people that I support, psychedelics have been a big part in the noticing the patterns that they are going through. And so sometimes we notice rationally what is happening, but psychedelics brings a much more embodied experience of like, wow, I have been doing this to myself or towards the other ones. And as well, it brings very much a lot of compassion and empathy. So it's not just noticing, but really with a heart open being with whatever is happening. So I think those two things are really important that really support in the combination of relationship and psychedelic experiences. And later on, of course, the IFS or NVC or whichever other tools like IFIO can support integrating much deeper whatever that we have noticed during the experience to really integrate it and make it last in a way.
Mm-hmm. Can you share an example of someone you've worked with whose relationship changed deeply because of psychedelic work, and why?
Yeah. So I've worked with several people and different types of relationships, sometimes mother-daughter or father-son and couples as well. And I just want to say that every time I work with them, you can really see the love. Like, I think that's very much present, the love between these two people. And I worked with a couple once, and they were decided to be in the same room during the ceremony. And it was very beautiful to also see them in connection sometimes, and sometimes in separate moments in their own journey. And one of them, let's call it person A, noticed like, hey, I want to be in connection. And asked like, hey, can I hug? And then they decided to hug. While person B, in that moment, we of course didn't know, but we talked about it later, like it wanted to be in connection, but it also wanted to just be by themselves. And they started to think like, oh, how I do that in the relationship so many times. So in a way, they noticed this pattern of like, I want to be by myself and I don't know how to ask for space right now. So that brought a lot of awareness of, how much that happens maybe in a daily basis, right? I don't know, one of them proposes, let's watch a movie, and the other one says yes, just to not hurt the other one or to not go into rejection stories. And what I found most beautiful is that after the ceremony, one was able to see the other one in their own process of what was happening behind that. Like, of course, they were in doubt to say, yes, I want space, but that came actually from childhood, because when they asked for space when they were young, that would create harshness in the relationship or breakage in the relationship. So, of course, they had this fear that it was a pattern in their relationship, but not per se coming from that specific relationship, which usually happens.
Amazing. And after the ceremony, were they able to work with this pattern more so that they could have an actual shift in the relationship?
Yeah. So we had several sessions. I think the first integration session was, I think, what brought a lot of awareness of this pattern and starting, putting also strategies, not just talking about what happened in the past and their own wounds, but also, how are we going to take care of each other in this, right? How are we going to take care of that you have the space that you want and that I also don't feel rejected, right? So it's really getting to know each other as well more deeply, which I really love. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's about creating real intimacy, not the one like where one puts their needs away in order to please the other.
Exactly.
To create a superficial kind of connection, but it's not real intimacy. It's to reveal that actually I'm really scared to tell you that I want space right now, and I'm really scared that we're going to lose the connection if I share this need with you. And this is a dynamic, it's present in so many relationships, so it's really nice that you use that as an example, because there's always in a relationship somebody who is more the pursuer of the connection and then the withdrawer of the connection. And you have that in almost every relationship, that is still somewhere in a little power struggle dynamic. And the pursuer is always going to come closer and closer, looking for it more, which will make the withdrawal go further away. And with psychedelics, you can really see these patterns and bring them to light and really communicate the needs and then make sure that both needs can be met. Yeah, that's why it's so beautiful to go so deep and to look at it. I personally had experience with psychedelics that showed me my relationship patterns. I had like a really deep core belief from my childhood that I'm alone. So I had very hard time letting people in. I still have a hard time letting people in sometimes, but it has gotten so much better, and I'm so aware of this pattern that I can also, with the awareness, make other choices now, or I can share about the fear that I have. And I had another core belief, my needs don't matter, and it was very interesting. Something I realized while I was on a psychedelic journey was that I would wait until I was in the middle of a fight to share my needs, and then they would not be heard because we were in the middle of a fight. And then that would reinforce the belief that my needs don't matter, and I would not share them when we were not in the middle of a fight. I would just wait until the moment that I would explode, and then I would share them, but then they wouldn't be heard. So having that awareness from the psychedelics really helped me to see the pattern, and then to realize actually what I need to do is share my needs in a moment of calmness so that they can be heard. And that brought a lot of healing into my relationships as well. Yeah. But the psychedelics alone usually just help you heal wounds and bring awareness to patterns. But something like IFIO makes the change stick. So can you tell us a little bit more about that? You've been trained in IFIO. Can you let us know what it is and what you do in these sessions?
Yeah, I think in general I'm really loving relationships, and I think IFIO taught me a lot about them. So it's really about acknowledging first that there's parts within ourselves and that they get activated in relationship with the other person. And what we focus a lot in IFIO is the U-turn. Sometimes I'm really focused on like, oh, why my partner didn't do this or why they did this, right? Really, or yeah, feeling that they do something to us or they didn't do. And this U-turn allow us to really see what is happening inside and these unconscious patterns that we were mentioning, right? Like you mentioned, like, oh yeah, I would bring my needs during a fight, right? And how that didn't support the communication and to really be heard in that. So without noticing, we do these things and like look at myself like, okay, how can I bring my need from a self-connected place? And yeah, really to create connection and not try to blame the other person or try to focus it on them, but more talking from vulnerability and compassion also within myself towards the other and towards me.
And as an IFIO practitioner, you help people in like couples. They have the sessions together to speak in a way that they can actually be heard. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. So the idea is, of course, that we will be having sessions, the three of us together, and it can be couples or different types of relationships, and to create a space in which really one person can be fully heard and the other one can fully listen and switch roles as well. So then you can stay in connection while bringing this authenticity.
Mm-hmm. And another powerful tool that you have been trained in is nonviolent communication. I'm also very passionate about nonviolent communication. I have read the books, I have done the workshops, and it really changed the way that I listen and express myself in relationships. And can you tell us a little bit more about the importance of communication and relationship repair? I mean, you already just touched on it with the IFIO, but how is the nonviolent communication different?
So nonviolent communication really focus a lot on needs and what is behind what I'm saying. I think what was more important for me is like whatever that person is saying in front of me, doesn't matter which type of language they are using, like even if it's blame language, I can really try to hear like, okay, they're really trying to defend something very vulnerable behind. So is not really that much about like the words, but a lot about, okay, what is really the intention behind of what they are saying. And I think that really brings a lot of connection, because if we all start learning to hear the need behind of what the other one says, it would be easier for us to bring that connection. Yeah.
Absolutely. And how has this transformed your own relationship and the relationships in your family that you were talking about before, and the relationship that you're in with your partner?
I think it has, in a way, very much transformed a lot. I think, well, with my partner, I see it, of course, in a daily basis, that I do see myself sometimes, of course, I don't expect myself to be perfect, that parts of me feel, I don't know, that they need to defend something, and they can come with a bit of a blaming energy. But it's easier for me to notice it, right? And also for my partner to have that awareness and notice it. So we can both sit and be, okay, what is happening, right? A part of me feels vulnerable. Is there another way that we can have this conversation instead of having blame? And the other way around as well, right? The idea is not that we will be perfect, or that there will be like this perfect relationship with no conflict, but that we have the awareness that actually we both come from good place, or something like that, right? That is not that we want to harm the other one, but we are actually really, really, really caring for vulnerable parts inside of us.
Mm-hmm. That's really beautiful. And how did it change the relationship to your family?
I think I've been, because I've been trying to express myself more. I think from when I was younger, I tended to be more quiet and not really sharing myself and not bringing myself to the family. I have a very Latin family, so very loud and expressive. So I had this belief of I have to make myself smaller, so then there's space for the rest. And I started bringing myself more as well towards them, and also trying to express myself and not avoid conflict. I think that's something that I very much had as a pattern, to avoid conflict towards my mom or my sisters, and in loving relationships as well. So that's something that I see it has changed in relationship towards my nuclear family.
That's nice. I did have a real big shift in the relationship to my mom through working on myself, and like the communication and the childhood wounds. And yeah, it's one of the most profound changes that I've made in my life, is to heal that relationship. When I was a child, I would fight with her almost every day. And now we just never fight anymore. We're like super chill. We can both communicate our needs. We don't get triggered anymore. You know, like my childhood wounds don't get activated by my mom, and she doesn't get activated by me either. And it's so beautiful, because as a child I felt so alone, because I really thought my mom doesn't love me, because we were fighting all the time. And going from that to a place of having real understanding and real connection and feeling real care is incredibly powerful, and it's so supportive to my life, to having been able to do that. So I invite all the mothers out there, even if they have kids that are adults already, you can always heal that relationship if both are willing to do it. We've had actually, like in the past year, several times people come with their families to do psychedelic journeys together. One time we had a woman with her 5 children that all came together, like the 6 of them came and had a beautiful ceremony together, also to heal the relationship. And it's such a powerful thing to do. What would you say, in your eyes, what does a truly healthy relationship look like? And now we can talk about family, friendship, relationships, or partnerships, or you can pick one.
I think in general, to be honest, is a relationship in which there is authenticity and there's also space for growth and make mistakes, and not again, not everything has to be perfect, and that doesn't mean that conflict cannot be there. But what I find most important is that we get better and better at repair, to really come back to connection with that other person, and really seeing the intention and the beauty of the need of the other person, or the very vulnerable part that they had behind. Mm-hmm. So if there's a lot of conflict but a lot of repair and a lot of connection behind, that's, I think it should be okay.
Yes, I believe the same. The repair is the most important part. And accountability, like that when the repair happens, that there's actual also a real care and a real hearing of the other person and their needs and their vulnerabilities. And there's one thing that I want to share here that I learned that when I did the Nonviolent communication course. That was a sentence to remember also for anyone that is listening right now when you're in a conflict. Do I want correction or do I want connection? Because so often we want to correct the other person, but every time we do that, we don't share from our needs and our vulnerability. We're actually just blaming the other person and pushing them further away. And therefore, we're not creating connection. Right, so that sentence really stayed with me. I remembered it many times in my conflicts. Like a few personal questions about you, like how long have you been working with psychedelics and what first drew you into this work?
I've been working with psychedelics for around 4 or 5 years, approximately. And what drew me into the work was really growth and getting to know myself also, and healing several parts of me. To be honest, when I grew up, I was not in an environment in which psychedelics was kind of like normal. It was actually the other way around. It was seen as something that would bring me into like the wrong direction or something like that. And it has brought me the complete opposite. It has just brought me healing, connection within myself, and connection to others. And I've noticed also the more and more I've connected with psychedelics, the more I also have connected to my roots. Because in Peru is actually quite a practice for the indigenous cultures. And I feel very much connected to that. So yeah, I find it also beautiful that I practice it myself and I guide it towards other people.
Oh, beautiful. How would you say do your roots influence the way that you guide people?
I think it has been also quite a journey, reconnecting to my roots. When I am in a ceremony, I very much acknowledge, of course, what is present, but what is not present. So also the ancestors and how this has come to us, all these type of ceremonies and things like that. And in a way, it feels, and it's also something that I share with the people when I guide, that I believe there's really an inner knower. And that inner knower, in a way, is connected within all of ourselves and also with past cultures, or however you want to see it, or the beliefs that every person has, right? But I feel deep connection with my past and how my ancestors and all our ancestors were working with this.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. And what would you say, what do you hope people take away about healing relationships through psychedelics and IFS or IFIO?
I think what I hope that they get is really that this deep understanding of love and compassion towards themselves and also towards the other person that is in front of them that they're having a relationship with. And that in a way, it's when I started learning IFS, I started noticing like, wow, we're at the end all kids. Like I am a little kid and the person in front of me is a little kid, and we can be super happy or super angry, but we are just little kids in this world playing. I would love if people just see that, and I think compassion will grow naturally.
Absolutely. I completely agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe at the end, just for people that have listened until now, they're interested in working with you. You're part of our team. You do sessions in Amsterdam, and I think Utrecht you'll be open to.
Yeah.
Tell us just a little bit about all of the different trainings that you have done, because you have done many.
Yes. Okay, let's start chronologically. I have done yoga teacher training in India, and I have done nonviolent communication to be a teacher and a mediator. I've done internal family systems, and also included in that the IFIO training, and
which is IFS specifically for partners.
Yeah, exactly. And right now I'm also finishing my body-oriented psychotherapy training. That is a 4-year training. I think that is about it. I will be doing a Reiki soon.
And the IFS level 3 soon as well, right?
Yes, IFS level 3 in a couple of months. So basically finishing that one. And hopefully the somatic IFS as well soon. So yeah. I guess I really, really like learning.
Yeah. And you've also done the psychedelic certification with synthesis, right?
Yes.
Psychedelic facilitation.
Yeah, the 1-year program at Synthesis.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, and you have also done the course of the inner shift method.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
very complete and beautiful training as well.
Thank you. Yeah, so you've done so many trainings. You are really well prepared to have individuals and couples come for a psychedelic ceremony with you. Relationships is one of your specialties, but you have also experience with other things, so maybe you want to share that as well.
Specialties that I can mention is really this relationship part that we already mentioned. So healing trauma as well with CPTSD. And nervous system regulation, that I think my body psychotherapy studies really support me in that.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So thank you so much for having this conversation with me, such an important conversation about relationships and relationship healing and repair, and just how to create healthy relationships in general with our family, friends, and partners. Yeah, thank you. Also, everyone who has listened until now, we are very happy that you're here. Please come back for our next episodes. We're going to start recording more episodes again soon. And you can follow us on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Just look for the Inner Shift Institute. Right, so thank you so much, Alejandra, for being here and for being part of our team.
Yes, a pleasure. Thank you, Alice.
Thank you for listening to the Shift Within podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe for more insightful conversations. Keep asking, keep understanding, keep shifting within, and see you next time in the next episode.